Hey, what's up, guys? I want to welcome you to the final part of our Automation Made Easy series. So, I'm not going to say much by way of introduction. We're just going to jump right into it and we're just going to knock this out. So, like I said, we are here for the final part of Automation Made Easy. This is part 5. And just to give you a recap of where we've been, this has been our plan of action throughout this entire series. We started off with defining our terms. What is automation? Because we're trying to demystify automation. It's this huge thing that we think is so complex, but I really wanted to break it down, help you understand it, and then show you why you need it as a tool in your business. And then I introduce you in part 2 to the Pi Automation Flywheel Framework, which is the foundational framework that I use when I'm building any automations, whether it be for myself or my clients. And it's going to be the foundation that you use in building automations in your business. And that's what we've looked at for the remainder of this series. So in part 3, we looked at the first part of the Pi framework, which is identifying what to automate, like the building the plan. Because before you can automate, you need to know what you need to automate. And then we looked at last time tools for automation, so using the various tools that you need in order to make those automations happen. And then today we're going to wrap it up with building an automation strategy. So we're going to put everything together with these final 2 parts of the Pi flywheel and then show you how you can put it all together to build a comprehensive and repeatable strategy for building automations in your business that's going to help you grow and give you the freedom that you're looking for. So by way of recap, here is the Pi flywheel. We have step 1, which is planning. We have step 2, implementation. And then step 3, evaluate. And step 2 and step 3 are what we're going to be taking a look at today in this lesson. But in step 1, these are the steps that you took in terms of figuring out what your plan is. Because planning is probably the hardest part and the most in-depth part of this flywheel. Because if you don't know what you need to automate and how to do it, then you're just going to be spinning your wheels when it comes to implementation and then trying to evaluate things. So you want to make sure you set it up right the first time. And these steps help you do that. So first, you need to decide what you want to automate. And then you need to decide your metrics to track in terms of success and failure, because if you don't have metrics, then how do you know the thing is working? And then finally, we showed you how to map out the automation, like actually physically drawing it out from what it looks like as far as what is the need for this automation, the beginning, the end, and then all the steps in between. And then looking at the requirements and the tools that you need in order to make that mapped out automation happen. And then once you get to that part, once you've done all that, you can move to step 2. And step 2 is implementation. So this is where you actually begin to build your automation. And so like I say here, now that you've planned out your automation, it's time to implement it. This is where your ideas turn into reality. This is the fun part, because this is where you actually start building, putting things together. And so there are 3 steps that I like to take a look at when I am implementing. The first thing is set up your tools. So whatever the tool is that you're going to be using for your automation, make sure that it's all set up and configured exactly the way that you want it to be. So if you're looking at Zapier or something like that, which we looked at when we were choosing our tools for last time, we want to make sure that we are logged into our Zapier account, that Zapier is connected to all the tools that we want to use. We don't want to waste time doing that while we're trying to set everything up. And then we need to make sure that if there's any settings that we need to have turned on in each of those tools that we want to use in order to connect to some of these other pieces, then we need to make sure that all those things are set up, configured the ways that we need them to be in order to make this automation happen. And then once you've done that, it's really as simple as following the plan. This is why we took our time in step 1 of mapping out the automation, like physically drawing it out. What is the beginning step that's going to trigger this automation? What's the end result that we're looking for? What are all the steps in between? And then in this stage, all you're doing is going step by step and plugging in each of those pieces from your map into your live automation. And then once you've done that, you are getting to the stage of testing it, making sure that it works, and then troubleshooting it. Because let's be real, the first time you run your automation is probably not going to work the way that you want it to. Happens to me, happens to the best of us. And so at that point, you need to go in, troubleshoot it, figure out what's going on. Because at some point, you probably failed to either put something incorrectly that you had in your map, or you might have just forgotten a step that needed to happen in between steps in order for part B to talk to part C or part C to talk to part D, that kind of thing. So going through and figuring out those missing steps or figuring out what's not working and troubleshooting until you get to the end result that you want. And so that's all part of the implementation phase, is setting up your tools, following the plan, and then testing and troubleshooting. And then once you've done all that, it's just a matter of allowing the automation to run and do its thing, and then regularly checking in on it to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And that gets us to step 3, which is evaluation, the evaluate phase. So this is where you're going to revisit your metrics and make adjustments. So this is where you're gathering all the data that you've collected. So back in step 1, where you figured out what your metrics are that you're going to track, and you've got like it can be quality, opportunity, just lots of different ways that you can look at this. Is it even working, doing what it's supposed to do? Those kind of things. Is it helping you hit your KPIs, all that kind of stuff? And if you can take a look at those metrics and start making some hard decisions based on those metrics. So based on the metrics, is your automation running and doing the way that it's set up to do? Is it saving you time in your business? Is it saving you hassle? Is it giving you more satisfaction so that you can focus on the things in your business that you really want to focus on? Is it working? Like all of those things. Are there opportunities where you can take this automation that you've built and connect it to something else to build an even bigger automation to automate more of your business? Those are the things that you're looking at here at this stage, and you're doing it based on those metrics that you have available to you. And then here's the one part of the evaluation phase that a lot of people don't think about. If there are parts of your automation that are client facing, like sending out emails or whatever it might be, like think about the onboarding sequence that we put together, like in terms of the emails that are being sent out, giving them access to the personal training software, and taking the payment, sending them a receipt, all that kind of stuff. Interview your clients, get their feedback, see how they feel about the process, and that will help you further refine things, because you are doing things in a vacuum based on what you think is right, but then your clients might have a different experience. You think that you're giving them a great experience, and they might have some suggestions for you that can improve it or make it even better. And so you can take that and then go back and begin going to this last part, which is optimize and make adjustments. So you're taking a look at your metrics. You're taking a look at the feedback that you're getting from your clients, and then deciding, okay, do I need to make some changes? Are there ways that I can improve this? If there's not, that's cool. Then you just keep going about letting your automation do its thing, and you check back in at another regular interval. But if there are optimizations that you can make, then you're going back to stage 1 of the flywheel. You're doing some more planning, figuring things out. Once you figure things out, then you are mapping it all out, figuring out how you want to make those changes to your automation. You're going in, implementing it, setting up your tools, building it out, and then you're going through this stage all over again after you then come in and evaluate it again, see if it's giving you the improvements that you want. And that is really the way that all of this is set up to run. So, by way of recap, because really this is about it. Like these last 2 parts are the simplest part. So I want you to remember about the pie flywheel. Automation is not a one-time task. It's going to evolve with your business. Your business is a living organism. It's always changing. It's always growing. Like as you are growing, as your business is growing, your needs are going to change. Technology is going to change. So you're always evaluating your automations to make sure that you're using the correct tools, using the latest tools that are available to you. And that's not to say that just because a new tool is on the market that you need to switch to it, but maybe that it does something better than the previous tool that you're previously or currently using, and it'll help you boost your productivity. So that's when you kind of make that switch and make that decision. But you can only make that decision based on the metrics that you have available to you, and then going in and further optimizing those things. So realize that optimization is not just a one-time task, but it's setting it and then optimizing it and continually going through that stage. And like I say here, the pie automation flywheel is a cycle. After evaluating, you're going back to the planning stage, if necessary, to make refinements. And then you're going back to the planning stage to implement, evaluate, and then if you can make improvements, you're going back to the planning stage again, implementing those changes, evaluating again, and then just constantly going through it, constantly looking for ways that you can optimize and improve upon what you have currently set up to do. So here it is again, just so that we can really just drive this home. This is the pie flywheel. Step one is planning. This is probably where you're going to spend the majority of your time, figuring out what to automate in your business, how to automate it, drawing it all out, building your map, making sure that you've got every single step in there from start to finish, and then figuring out the tools that you're going to use to make that happen. Then you get to step two, implementation, and getting everything set up, and then going piece by piece from the map that you had in step one to build out your automation, testing it, troubleshooting it, make sure that it's going to work and do the things that you want it to do. And then you just let it run, do its thing. And then you go back to step one and figure out, all right, what were those key metrics that I want to track? How often did I want to check in on those? When those intervals come up, that's when you come to the evaluation stage, step three. And then you're evaluating things, seeing where everything is. And if it's working well, doing what it's supposed to do, meeting your goals, great, you just let it keep running. If not, then you're going back, you're looking for ways to optimize it, improve it. And then you take those ideas and go back to the planning stage, and then you repeat this whole flywheel. And that's the way it works. You're just constantly going through this flywheel over and over again. That's the way automation is designed to work. That's the way that it should work in your business. So, just to recap again, we have looked at and defined what automation is. I've shown you the pie automation flywheel and how it all works in terms of having a framework in your business to build automations and show you how to do it from start to finish. I've shown you how to identify what to automate, how to pick the tools for automation and the ones that are available to you, and then just giving you the rest of the strategy for building a automation strategy that's going to be repeatable and that's going to help your business grow, give you the freedom that you're after, and really help you have more time and enjoy your business so that you're not stuck doing the busy work, but you can actually focus on doing your zone of genius. And so in step three, I gave you a worksheet. If you want that worksheet, be sure to join the community because that's where that worksheet is going to be available to you. Go to LaRosaJohnson.com, join the community. That's where you're going to find all these replays and each step if you missed any of it. And so that's all for now, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.